everybody, and welcome back to Guys on Gaffr. It has been a good little while since we've podded about the Championship. I know we had a Super League pod a couple of weeks ago, but it's about time, now it's an international break, that we pod again and we talk about the run-in. So all three of us are here today, which is great. So we've got Abhishek and David. So yeah, how are you both doing on this fine Sunday evening? David.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's good to be back. Yeah, it's been a long time now, so it was about time we got down to the normal. So yeah,
Cool.
it's good.
I thought I'd nominate you first because there was a little awkward pause, but hey ho. Abhishek, how is life?
Yeah, life is decent. Watched some football, watched the Formula racing after waking up too early because it's happening in Australia. So it was way too early for me to wake up. But I'm glad it was a Sunday morning, so slept it a bit late. Yeah, watched some games. Watched the FA Cup, dramatic FA Cup win over Liverpool, which made me happy. But that's about it because in terms of FPL, I'm not getting any points. Gaffr has been kind to me so far this week and the previous weeks as well. So Gaffr is doing well. Hopefully, I can move. I have moved on to the top 500. So hopefully, my target to move within top 100 hopefully can be achieved. But you never know. Such has been the template this season for Gaffr. Yeah. Apart from that, doing fine. Mm, it's a bit. How are you guys?
Yeah, good. I've been very switched off from fantasy football this past week, so it's my brain. I've had to kick my brain back into gear a little bit here, but hey ho, it will be a good discussion, I'm sure. And then yeah, not long left to this not long left in the season, so it's going to be quite exciting. I feel like across both the Premier League and the Championship is crazy as always. It could be like an amazing end to the season. So yeah, was good. And the evenings are getting lighter, and that is improving my mood significantly. It always makes a difference. Always makes a difference to me. Let's get into
Does it make a difference to fantasy as well, or just in general?
just in general. It's not related. That's not a fantasy related comment. Yeah, since starting my kind of 9 to 5 2.5 years ago, I've always noticed it. Like when it's light, when I finish work, it's a good day. There he is. Let's get into our teams then. So, game week 38 then. Abhishek, you are up first. How did you get on in game week 38? I see you took a bit of a large hit there.
Yeah, I took a large hit due to the fact that I thought maybe some players would have been okay playing, but they have lost their places in my squad, and I have been itching. I mean, I couldn't take them out previously, but last week was giving 38 was a perfect week to take them out. And also, I didn't have. I think I have 6 players or 7 players starting because it was a blank game week, and I have players from the blank week. So it was, I think, the right move to take -12. So I brought in. Hold on. I brought in Johnson. I brought in Sarah. I brought in Rutter and Gibson. So those are the 4 moves that I made. I mean, immediately they paid off. I mean, immediately they paid off. So I'm really happy with that. But now, with the Southampton fixtures coming up, I need to find a way to bring back Adam Armstrong, whom I sold ahead of game week 38. I need to bring back him because the fixtures are really decent for Southampton upcoming, and they have back-to-back double game weeks as well. So, yeah, if I have to move on to my target of reaching the top 100 ranks, I need Adam Armstrong back in my squad. And also with another Southampton player, I guess. So yeah, game week 33. As for 87 minus 12, that is, which gave me a 50 or 60 place green arrow rank, so it was really nice. So Dieng was on goal with 6 points. West Brom duo of Johnson and Furlong got me 13 points. Ipswich Davis 7 points. I mean, Ipswich scored 6. FIFA mode didn't get anything.
I
I mean,
know, so annoying. I think
that's
I've iced him.
yeah, that's the most ridiculous thing that happened. I mean, the substitute striker came on and scored 2 goals.
Yeah, because it
That's
was
the
like
most
4-0 at that point.
ridiculous
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's the most ridiculous thing. I mean, to see on the Saturday. So Ipswich duo of Moore and Davies get me 9 points. Gibson got me 4 points. My captain was Somerville, 7 points he scored, so they doubled up to 14. Sarah and Sargent 12 and 15 points respectively. Sargent was my vice. Reuter got me 11 points, and Smodix got me 3 points. So 87 minus 12, that I'm 588th place on the overall rankings. So yeah, I am on the ascendancy. So hopefully, in the next few weeks before the double game weeks 43, 44 hits, I can plan my way towards that and get some more points so that I can move further away onto towards my goal that I set at the start of the season. Yeah,
Good
that's
stuff.
me.
Very good. David, your team.
Yeah. I think I've done a bit about like not good, not very bad, but yeah, could be better. My transfers were a bit of a mixed bag because I took a -8 and I got 68 points, -8. But one of the transfers were very good. I got Sari and captain him for 24
Nice.
points. And I also got in Furlong for Cannon, which I realized didn't play anymore. He was transferred or something. But I still had him, so I got him in. But I also saw some comment on the group chat about Sorba Thomas, and I was like, oh, he's been doing well, and like I didn't remember his antics from last season when I had him and he got red cards again, and like just didn't play, so I should just like remember that and just like not did it, but he got a red card or two yellows or
Yeah.
something. But and I know you did as well, but he got -2 points, so that was a bit of a harsh one. But and it was totally unnecessary. I could just like have played a blank player and just got 2 points more. So,
Mm.
but yeah, so that's a 1.4k game week rank, and you talk about being in the 500 subject, and I've been like a bit like bummed by being like stuck in the 200s, but that's actually it's quite okay. Like actually, I've just like been in that range a long time, but yeah. I've had some bad game weeks now, so I'm just like hovering around 180, 255. So yeah, but I think I still have some boosts left, so something can happen. But yeah, need to
Yeah.
focus more on the game. I actually have 2 boosts left. So.
Yeah, that's a decent enough position to be in at this point.
Mm.
Yeah. Cool. Similar to you, David, I got 65 -4. So not a great game week. I also brought in Sorba Thomas this week. It was basically I was looking at midfield options. I looked at Sarah and I was like, am I missing anyone else who could be a good option as well? I was like, ooh, eventually I realized, Sorba Thomas is a good option. And that was a 14-point swing, which is annoying. Because of Sarah's 12-pointer. Now, it must be said that Sarah's 12-pointer was... I haven't actually seen the goal, but I did see it was a 0.1 XG goal, so it must have been an absolute screamer. So I'm counting myself as quite unlucky for that. So, rightly or wrongly. That was an annoying one. The other one, I guess Vandenberg didn't start. I've also had a couple of bad game weeks in a row here, so I kind of played my rank suffered when I played triple in the big double and everyone else played away days, but I was thinking my away days would claw it back, and it did. So I got back up to 36th after game week 35, but then didn't really attack 37 properly. So I went for Vandenberg in defence as opposed to Ayling, who got 2 assists, which was a bit of a killer because his underlying numbers weren't great before that time. So I didn't have him or Engel, and then Vandenberg also didn't play this time. So I went for the kind of secure, safe minutes option, and it backfired big time. Didn't have Latte Lath either, so my rank suffered then and then this week as well. So I'm now in 69th, which is a bit of an annoying drop. But I guess Clark Salter was one of my highlights this week, actually, of all people, because obviously the blank game week I had to play him. He got a sweet 8-pointer. I can't remember who QPR played against now, but obviously they kept a clean sheet and he got 2 bonus. I know it was a good fixture. Was it Sheffield Wednesday? Can't remember now who they played, but obviously he was one of the relegation threatened teams down there with them. What else? I brought in Firpo as well for Harwood Bellis, and he got me 5. Somerville captain was okay with his customary bonus points. Rutter delivered, Sargent delivered a nice 10-pointer. That was another killer when Norwich beat Rotherham 5-0. I captained Sargent he only got 6 points because he scored just before half time, then went off at half time at 5-0 or 4-0. So that was a frustrating one because I thought he could have got more points out of that one. So yeah, aside from that, I guess those are my kind of highlights this week. But yeah, goal is top 50 now, I think. So I've only got 1 boost left, whereas most people have 2. So I've obviously only got the worst boost left to play. So I'm not in a great position from that standpoint. So yeah, it's a bit of an annoying one, but sorry, my monitor's just gone off.
To be fair, I have 2 boosts left to play. It's granted that one of the boosts will be played in a double game week, but I am confused about playing the next the 1 boost that will be left because I was thinking about playing the performance enhancement, but now it doesn't look like playing performance enhancement boost will be the right way forward. So what boost I should play and what week I should play, I'm confused. So in that way, I think you are on a good state because you only have 1 boost to play. Just pick the best double game week and play it.
Yeah, so with that's a kind of a nice segue into the kind of main discussion. So we're going to discuss the run-in now from a Gaffr point of view and then do some predictions based off of what we think is going to happen at both the top and the bottom of the table. But in terms of starting with the run-in, I guess Boost is a good place to start. So I've got on the screen the fixture ticket and the blanks and doubles coming up. So just to kind of recap for those of you who have perhaps forgotten or aren't aware, the remaining blanks and doubles that we've got are game week 43, Southampton and Preston double. So Preston play Norwich at home, Southampton away, and Southampton play Watford at home and Preston at home. So that's a good double for Southampton in particular. And then game week 44, Ipswich now blank because of the Coventry Ipswich game being postponed after Coventry made it to Wembley, beating Wolves in the FA Cup quarterfinals. So that game has had to be postponed, which means Ipswich blank. Coventry do play in the midweek though, so that's one of their other rearranged games, so Coventry do not blank. And then there are 3 teams with doubles. So Leicester have West Brom and Southampton at home, Hull have got Watford and Coventry away, and Southampton have got Cardiff and Leicester away. So back-to-back doubles for Southampton. Then finally game week 45, Ipswich double away to Hull and Coventry, and then Coventry double away to Blackburn and Ipswich. So that's what we're kind of dealing with. So in terms of kind of the boosts left, you're probably looking at those sorts of weeks. David, what boosts have you played at this point? Have you played away days and that's it? Have you got 2 left?
Let's see. I think I have 2 left, so I played away days and for the first, yeah.
I mean, out of those weeks, let's start with the triple, I guess, because it's a more powerful boost, so you probably want to prioritise that one over the worst boost. Like, of those weeks, which ones stand out to you? Because it doesn't really matter to me, because I don't have triple left, so I haven't really thought about it. Like, game weeks 43, 44, 45, what are you guys thinking at the moment? Where's your head at?
I mean, the problem is what will... the position of the title race will determine the factor of to play on which weeks, because Southampton has a double game week. Leicester has a double game week. Ipswich has a double game week, and that's on 43, 44, 45. Right. So, and 43 and 45 respectively. So by that time, this title race needs to come to a fruition, because otherwise, if there is back to back, if the league stage, the top three is neck and neck like it is as of now, then playing on game week 45 looks like the uh, 45 for Ipswich double up. I think Ipswich double up, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Ipswich double up is the ideal situation, because a lot of people have two Ipswich already, and Leicester face Preston and Leeds face QPR. So game week 45 looks like the best week to play triple triple if the title race stays as it is right now, neck and neck, because then all the starting players will start, and the managers will not rest them, because because they also will have to fight it out, whoever gets promoted automatically or who gets on the playoff chances. So 45 seems like the best week to play triple triple, but bearing these conditions. But on hindsight, if I have to bet on another week, then I think 43 seems like the best week to play. Uh, Not on Leicester players though, because Leicester or 44, because 44 Southampton and Leicester has face each other on the double game week.
Yeah.
That's not a decent week. So I think 43, the Leeds play Blackburn, uh, and Southampton has a double game week. Leicester play Plymouth. So 43 can be a decent option as well for triple triple. But it edges but game week 45 edges ever so slightly, just because of the title race that leads Leicester and Ipswich are at the moment in the championship. So yeah,
Fair.
but I just give 40 for game week 45 a slight edge because of that. But if I need a safe pathway to feel good about, yeah, I've got all my bases covered, but I just don't want to uh, bring all my hopes onto the last game, penultimate game week for a chance to make a dash for the title. I think 43 seems like the big week to just get away from all those distraction and get those points and have a good, nice run in for the rank wise.
Yeah. David, where's your head at with these in terms of triple triple? I feel like it's not an easy one.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's easy. But it depends a bit if you want to like spread the captaincy out a bit, I guess. Because if you want to play in the Ipswich double, you can just triple three of them, which you probably will have, because most people have the keeper and a defender from them, and they can just get more or something. So it's nice, but it depends on if you think both away games are good games for them to play, or if you want to have a captaincy on at least one Southampton or not, because they don't double at the same time as them. The other one is Preston. I don't think you want anyone from them, maybe. Hull, maybe. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit difficult, but yeah, I liked Ipswich double and Coventry as well, but I don't know if it's better than the top teams when they face each other, because it can get big goals in those games as well. If it's close in the top, like they will want to win both teams, but yeah, I don't know if it's difficult games versus good games with better teams. So
Yeah, as you say, I think there's pros and cons with each week. I guess game week 33, the disadvantage is you're probably not going to have 3 double game week players as your 3 captains. You maybe go for 2 Southampton and 1 other, so you go for kind of Armstrong and Walker Peters, and then pick a Leeds like a Somerville or a Leicester like a Dewsbury Hall for your 3rd with those good single game week fixtures, or even a Philogene at home to QPR potentially. That being said, actually, we should be also considering who are on the beach at this point. Some of these relegation threatened teams actually might do quite well in some of these games just by the nature of the fact that they're scrapping for their lives. So even though they are good fixtures, those it's also something to consider that maybe a team that's kind of a Swansea or a Bristol City could also be great fixtures for teams that are going to be on the beach. But I don't think that applies in a lot of cases.
Are there going to be any teams on the beach now, which it's being so close, like everywhere?
When we hit,
that's going to be the case.
Not many, to be fair. I mean, maybe at the moment there's not many teams that are kind of not fighting for anything. In fact, in the tables that I have later on for the 3 different things, I think there's only about 3 or 4 teams that actually don't appear in my title race playoff picture and relegation picture. So, but by the time we get to that point, things might change, and things might be a little bit. Some teams might have pulled away. Some things might be closer to being decided. Who knows? I hope it'll still be close for lots of teams. But yeah, that's the disadvantage of Game Week 43. Like fewer doublers, but good single game week fixtures to compensate. Game Week 44, you can do 3 doublers. You can do Leicester, potentially at Dewsbury Hall. You can do Philogene. But obviously, like Leicester, those are 2 really tough games, albeit both at home. West Brom are solid. Well, actually, no, to be fair, I was looking at West Brom defence before the last week, so I was looking at Furlong, and I had the perception in my head that West Brom have been solid defensively recently, but they've not been brilliant, actually. But obviously, Leicester have been a bit off the boil recently from an attacking standpoint. So, are they going to do well in that double game week Leicester assets? Not sure. Philogene's obviously a great shout for Hull, but 2 away games. One against Coventry, who they are kind of vying for the playoffs with quite closely, and then Southampton 2 away games, including Leicester. Like that doesn't make them great.
Do we know where the games fall in the double game weeks? Like if it's like 2 midweek, or if it's 1 week and 1 weekend? Does that impact things? Like for some of the teams, do we know when for example, the game we want the most points from? Do we know if that's a game that could get much more rotation than other games, even though they are harder?
It's a good point. Like the games that come second obviously will be midweek. Obviously rotation could be a factor. Like obviously Southampton have got back-to-back doubles as well, so 2 midweek. So they're obviously playing weekend, midweek, weekend, all in quick succession. So there's
you wouldn't like see Armstrong play all the games there.
Yeah,
that would be a bit surprising.
Certainly possible that he gets rotated. Yeah. In Game Week 45, I guess the other thing is, like, I look at those Ipswich fixtures, fine from an attacking point of view, but I don't see any clean sheets in there for Leif Davis. Hull and Coventry, I think they'll score goals in that. Ipswich's opponents will score goals in both of those games. But like Kiefer Moore would be a good shout still in those, I feel. And there could be a couple of good Coventry assets there, like Haji Wright, maybe O'Hare potentially. And I don't know if there are any good single gaming fixtures then. Leeds QPR.
I mean,
that's depressing.
Yeah, I mean the doubles that we are seeing. I'm not seeing any clean sheet in any of the doubles, to be fair. No. So I'm not bothered about any defensive assets. I'm just gonna pile up on all those attackers that we're gonna have, even if I'm on a boost or not on a boost, because in the last 10 games, I'm not expecting much clean sheets. I'm just expecting attacking returns. So clean sheet is out of the window. So I'm just, even though, as I said, that Ipswich double looks really, really good, but have to see what type of title race they are in. And also, speaking of Southampton, I don't think they will drop too many important guys, because if they win the 2 games that they have in hand, they go to 79 points, and that puts them right onto that championship. I mean, title race. So you never know what happens in this league. So can't count out anything for granted. One thing you can count out, that there will be no clean sheets, because the last few games there will be goals plenty. So that's I'm hoping for. But if the clean sheets come around, then that's a welcome bonus, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks as well in terms of how much we pile. So just changing tack slightly away from the boosts, kind of how much we pile in on these doubles, particularly when you've got like leads who don't double at all here. Like for example, I bought Furpo this week, even though they don't double at all. I don't know what your thoughts are in terms of like how many assets from each teams to be going for. I mean, personally, I'm not going to look at any Preston players with that double being Norwich and Southampton. Like it's two tough games, so I'm probably not going to get any Preston players. Southampton, obviously, at least 2 would be advisable, wouldn't it? Armstrong and Walker-Peters, maybe a third. Ipswich players, presumably you want to have at least 2 to bench in 44 and then play in 45. You can kind of get a third for that. It's kind of, I guess, how much do you go in on Hull and Coventry? And how many is kind of optimal for those teams? Because they do have good assets, but again, it's kind of, do you want to be foregoing other assets that are looking really great? Who are your priority assets from the doubling teams? Like players that going into this stretch of their doubles, the 43 to 45, you really shouldn't be going without.
I mean, for me, 3 players stands out: Adam Armstrong, Walker-Peters, 2 Southampton players, and most probably I will bet on the getting the other double. I mean, hold on, what's the player written? I have name. I mean, Hull, Philogene Bides. Those are the 3 players that I'm prioritizing. That those 3 are a must now for your squad. So apart from that, you can have, because Ipswich players you can think about when game week 45 comes, because they have really tough games coming up in the next 5. Out of the next 4 are really tough games. So you can sell Ipswich players for now and bring them back on game week 45, because then you will get the amount of money for Walker-Peters, likes of Walker-Peters and the other players. Giles can be a decent option as well from Hull, considering their doubles. Haji Wright, as you mentioned, can be a decent option for Kiefer Moore as well, for the third spot, forward spot, because most of them will have one of Reuter, Sargent, Adam Armstrong, out of those 2. So yeah, I think those 3 are the priority ones for me. I'll Walker-Peters, Adam Armstrong, and Philogene Bides if you don't own them. But majority of the Gaffr managers own at least 2 of them. So it's a bit of a boring priority players from me. Hopefully you guys have some interesting names to come.
Yeah, what do you think, David? Who'd be your kind of non-negotiables? And is Victor Torp one of them?
Yeah, Torp's one of them, of course. He's staying until the end of the season, no question. Because apparently he's not a safe spot in our pod team, so he has to play somewhere. Little dig there, no, it's okay.
Have you forgiven us
of
yet,
course.
David, for selling him that first time?
It was a bit of a shock, actually. Like I was, it just happened so quick, and like it was just like so nonchalant, and like, yeah, we should get some non-play. Okay, that's okay. Then we brought him back, and then Abhishek talks about him being sold again. Like, what's happening?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, but we need to start winning again, I guess. So.
I mean, for starters, he didn't have a game, so it was.
Yeah, it was kind of needs must this week. It's kind of needs must.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. It's one thing I thought about was like maybe not like double pairs, but since we don't have the situation we had last season where it was like a big gap between first and the next places, we need to remember that even though Leeds, for example, don't have as many games, they still need to perform and like get the the points they would get, even though they have a game less. So we shouldn't like just sell them because they don't have a double and they could still get lots of points. So like,
Yeah.
don't get a striker instead of, for example, Rutter if that means just because they have a double.
Mm.
But I was thinking also about like, for example, which second player could you have from a team that people don't have? For example, in Leicester, um, could you have a striker from them in addition to Dewsbury Hall? Like a second Hull player, like what can you do to differentiate? Because if you
Mm.
have all the same players as the ones the people around you have, for example, if you're in your position, Joel, like in the top 50, you're not going to move. You're going to move at the same pace as the one around you, but like if they do the same things as you won't get anywhere. So you
Mm.
need to have those. Uh, we talk a lot about all those players that you must have, but everyone has them already. So like, what can you do to differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack? I think it's more important in these doubles than necessarily all the players that you just have by default, I guess.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't become too template, but it certainly could do. I feel like the boosts might differentiate each other, people quite a bit, which isn't a good thing for me because I only have one boost left and everyone else has two. So I'm really banking on people's triples going a bit wrong, which is not a great position to be in, I have to say. But yeah, I do feel like we could all gravitate towards very similar teams. In terms of
Yeah.
like, so you've mentioned Leeds there, David. In terms of are there any other assets that you think we should be mindful of that we should be either buying or kind of not selling for
Who's the lead striker at the moment? Is it Daka
who, sorry,
who
the
plays there? No, Leicester, I mean.
I think Vardy's starting a bit at the moment, but
Oh.
it's not a secure spot. But yeah, what do you think in terms of like people who don't have any doubles though?
Probably those have got Sara back. Probably keep him, not just sell
Mm.
him right away because he's a good player. Whittaker, I think you could keep, not necessarily sell right away.
I don't know about Whittaker
Uh,
because he's got good.
he
He's
just
got Norwich,
performs,
but
man.
then three really good fixtures: Bristol City, Rotherham, QPR. But Plymouth are sinking, and their new manager is being heavily criticised for the style of play. And I think
Alright.
Whittaker's gone like they're not creating enough chances at the moment, playing really bad football. You could maybe keep him for those three fixtures if you wanted to, but I sold him 2 or 3 game weeks ago, and I do not regret it one bit.
Yeah, like I think if you've kept until now, like me, you just keep and see what happens. But like you don't buy him, of course. But um, it was probably the right decision what you did to like sell him because he didn't perform after. But
Mm,
it could still happen. I think it's other positions that are more important for me that
definitely.
like I don't have Armstrong or
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
uh, Walker Peters, so I will just prioritize that for now. But like I will probably keep him, but you can sell, of course.
hmm hmm Yeah, I think one of the non-negotiables for me actually is Josh Sargent. Well, not non-negotiable. Actually,
Mm.
that's a bit too strong a word, non-negotiable. But like, um, he's a player that is actually now second highest in the league for XG per 90 behind Vardy. Now he's back fit.
Wow.
He's I think an absolutely fantastic option, and I feel a little bit unfortunate not to have got more from him actually since I bought him, particularly with that Rotherham fixture that I alluded to earlier, where he only got 6 points in a 5-0. But it's difficult with him because I mean they've got Plymouth at home next, which is a plum fixture at the moment. But then they run into Leicester away, Ipswich at home. So if you don't have him already, there is, I guess, a decision to be made there in terms of when you buy. So part of me is kind of hoping that they don't buy because of those fixtures coming up, and then they run into 42 and they're prioritising doublers because you're then about to hit 43, 44, 45. So then they forego him for those quite good fixtures: Wednesday, Preston, Bristol City, Swansea, Birmingham is how the end of the season. Pretty good run. I can see myself holding him through those kind of double game weeks because I think he is Norwich are going to be in that playoff fight for a good while. And he is just so good. He's getting lots and lots of chances, as is kind of being reflected in the underlying numbers. So I think he's one that those have got him. I feel like I don't know what his ownership is now. Maybe about 40% or something. A rough guess. Maybe it's a little bit more. I don't know. Like getting on him was the right thing, but if you've not got on him, I wonder if they're going to not buy him because of those reasons I've just mentioned. I hope so. I hope that's the case.
It depends who people go instead of him or keep him for, I guess.
I'm a bit torn on Sarah at the moment because he's returning, but he's he's massively overperforming his underlying numbers. So I'm like, it's maybe not sustainable. But also, he's a key pass machine. So I'm quite torn on
All
him.
I can say, don't make it a Swift situation again. Swift was at Reading.
Yes.
He was consistently getting those numbers up, and you don't want his.
And he's overperforming his underlying numbers because he is an incredible crosser of the ball. He has an incredible pass. Like he's a really good creator, and he can score screamers, which is why he's overperforming his underlying numbers, because he's just very good.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Norwich is all their players are on form right now, and with Gabriel stringing along those passes, I mean, they have lots of wingers, lots of attackers in that squad, and who were injured at the start of the season. Now they are coming into what they are capable of doing. So it's showing, and getting back Sargent has done them the world of good because they have that attacking man who can score goals from any situation, which Sargent was doing at the start of the season when they were flying. Then they came at a standstill because Sargent was not there, and they can't. Ashley Barnes was not Sargent. Now they're doing. Now when their injured players are fit and raring to go, we are showing what Norwich is capable of doing. So yeah, I think, I mean, the numbers will say that he's overperforming his stats and all those things, but when we look at the game, he's everywhere. So he's going to get you those points. So I think Sarah has to be behind. I mean, Sargent has to be a number one pick if you're looking at Norwich. But after that, the number two pick, I mean, yes, definitely I will go for Sarah if I'm not going for another midfielder.
It looked like he's playing quite deep on his heat maps as well. I'm just trying to justify to myself that I'd be. All I'm saying, I'm just trying
he's
to.
He's a defensive midfielder. He will play from deep.
All I'm doing is trying to be like, I was so unlucky. Please feel sorry for me for picking Thomas instead because I was so unlucky. Oh dear. Any final words then on this topic before we go on to our end of season predictions?
Yeah, no, I think most of the things are covered up. The teams to target, or the players from the teams that to target now are Southampton, Norwich, maybe Leicester, Coventry as well, if you're looking at those doublers. Yeah, apart from that, I think, all that.
Right, let's get Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at the run-in and make some predictions. Who's going to go up to the Premier League, who's going to make the playoffs, and who is going to go down. And all three are very interesting with lots of teams involved. So we'll start with the title race. On the screen you can see how it stands at the top of the table with the top four teams. So we've got Leeds, who are top of the league for the first time in a very long time. I don't know if they've been top at all this season, actually, but Leicester have been dethroned finally on 82 points after 38 games. Leicester have 82 points as well after 37 games, so they do have a game in hand, Leicester. Ipswich, 81 points after 38 games, and Southampton, 73 points after 36 games. So I've included Southampton because they do have those two games in hand on Ipswich and Leeds. So I think they're still very much in the mix. If they win both of those, they're only 3 points behind Leicester. In terms of the fixtures as well, I'm just going to, I guess, call out a couple of things before I get your guys' opinions on who's going to go up out of these guys. So I guess Leeds have a reasonably kind run, actually. They've got some playoff chasing teams. They've got to play Hull and Coventry, also Middlesbrough, who by the time they play Middlesbrough, they could actually be out of the playoff picture on the beach at that point. And aside from that, their fixtures aren't too bad. And then they run into Southampton at home in the last game of the season. Now, I really hope that that could be like a decider for promotion. That would be really cool. If that Leeds Southampton game has something riding on it for both teams in terms of automatic promotion. But that is a huge one. Leicester's fixtures are not bad either. They have got to play, though, Norwich at home, which could be tough. West Brom at home, Southampton at home, and a couple of the rest of the fixtures aren't too bad at all. Ipswich have the toughest run of all of the teams, I think. They've got to play Southampton at home, Norwich away, Hull away, Coventry away. So they've obviously got the Southampton game and some playoff chasing teams in there that I think could cause them some real trouble. Southampton, obviously they've got the most fixtures, but they've got some huge games in there. In fact, maybe their games are just as tough as Ipswich in the sense that they've got to play Ipswich, Coventry, Leicester and Leeds before the end of the season. So they've got the most games, but some big old games there. So yeah, some real 6-pointers in there. Ipswich Southampton's a 6-pointer, Leicester Southampton's a 6-pointer, and so is Leeds Southampton. So yeah, I want to hear both of your guys' predictions for champions and the other automatic promotion spot, second place, please. What do you think? Who wants to go first? David, I nominate
I'm
you.
just excited to see. I'm just excited to see how our full season predictions are going, because I think I have some names in there that are doing well, particularly Leicester. No, Norwich. But yeah, I don't think they're going to automatically promote. But yeah,
No.
I think Leeds go up first and then Ipswich.
Interesting. What do you think, Abhishek?
I think the table will stay like this. I mean, Leeds and Leicester will go automatically. Therefore, if those two Southampton games are really crucial for the title race, because Southampton have, I mean, if those two games, if Southampton win those two games, then that makes a really interesting situation, because Ipswich play Southampton before their before Southampton double game weeks happen. So Southampton, if Southampton beats Ipswich on game week 40, then it will really open up. I mean, then Ipswich will have, then Ipswich will be out of the conversation of the title race, because Southampton will get the edge over them. But in this league, anything can happen. But Southampton are on the ideal position, whether in terms of fixtures, whether in terms of games in hand, to make a real run for the championship title. But I think Leeds and Leicester have too much quality throughout the squad that they will be automatically promoted. But the third team that's going to be promoted, it's really anyone's guess, because it's going to be a really tough one to call.
The playoffs are always a lottery anyway. I mean, that's the cliche, and you know, you hear that say all the time. But yeah, okay, interesting. I think I agree with you, Abhishek. Actually, I do think it's crazy that Leeds are in the conversation for the title, because Leicester was so far ahead even just a few weeks ago, and they've been really off the boil, and all of a sudden they've been kind of reeled in. And I think the reason the title race is even a conversation is because of that, you know, Leeds beating Leicester. I think that was a huge factor. And I think they'll do it, Leeds, actually. I do think they'll win the title. They're scoring, their attack is just so good. And they've been really solid recently as well. And I think they'll just, you know, be able to blow away most teams there. And like I said before, in terms of like tough fixtures, the run is reasonably kind in compared to the other teams. So I think Leeds will go up as champions. I do think Leicester will get over the line as well, just about. But they have some cause for concern at the moment, Leicester fans, but I do think they have enough about them. I think Ipswich are too leaky. I really want to see that Ipswich go up automatically. Like, if I could choose one team to go up, it would be them, because obviously such a great story with them only getting promoted from League One last year and working on such a small budget against these kind of parachute payment clubs and competing so well. I just think they can see too many goals like that. That defeat against Cardiff was an absolute killer. If they'd won that game and hadn't conceded those 2 late goals, they'd be top of the league right now, which would have been really cool. Yeah, I just don't think they'll keep enough. They'll score enough. They'll score plenty of goals, more than enough goals. I mean, they've scored 80 goals this season. I don't think any team's scored more than them. But I think they will slip up in a few of those games. I'm looking at those Southampton and Norwich games and thinking maybe they'll only get 1 point from those 2, and that will make it an uphill battle for them. And yeah, I think Southampton will give it a good go, but ultimately fall short as well. With some of their, I think with their fixture congestion, they'll drop a few points towards the end with their fixture congestion. So,
another thing that gets the favor in terms of Southampton can have a title conversation is because they face the top 3. I mean, they face Leicester, they face Ipswich, and they face, I guess,
Leeds. If they get good results in those games, they're right in the mix. Let's say they win 2 out of those 3 games.
That's why they're in the. Yeah, that's why they're in the conversation in the first place, because they face the top 3 in this running. So if they can have at least 2 wins, by the time the last day of the season happens, it may not look like a title race anymore. By the time, Southampton and Leeds may have qualified to the may have earned promotion. So you never know. But
that's like the thing they have in their hand. It's like they have the.
Yeah, go on.
They have the fight in their hands, because they can like make impacts against those teams.
Yeah,
and, like,
I mean,
if they do, they have psychological advantages as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Game Week 40 is really important for Southampton to get a result in their favor, as well as the last double game week on 44. So these 2 games will decide Southampton's fact phase, whether they are automatically earning automatical promotion, or they are going towards the playoffs. So
I hope.
Really interesting.
I think they will, and I hope they do. I hope they pick up enough points before the Leicester game to be in the conversation for that Leicester game, and that Leicester game being absolutely huge in Game Week 44. They've got four home games coming up before they hit that. So, and then obviously 3 away games, but like they've obviously got more games than anyone else and lots of winnable games. So it could be a thrilling end to the season, and quite frankly, I'll be disappointed if it isn't a thrilling end to the season at the moment.
I mean, we are talking about Southampton being in the conversation, but all those 3 teams that are above Southampton, they face them away from home. Not a single one of them.
That is true. That could be a big factor.
Yeah. So if they came out victorious, at least out of the 3 games in 2 games, then Southampton should automatically promote themselves towards the Premier League, because that's a hard thing to do, especially if you have to go at King Power Stadium and it's Portland Road and getting a result there. So I mean, they are all saying that Southampton should be in the title race conversation, but they're facing them away. It's going to be tricky. It's a tricky place to visit for any team.
I'm away on Monday, so I can't watch Ipswich Southampton, but I would have loved to be able to watch that. I mean, obviously I'll be away and doing nice things, but it would have been a nice game to watch. Let's move on. I think we feel like we've talked enough about that. Let's go on to the playoffs. So I have included from 5th to 11th here. Obviously, I think Cardiff are only really an outside chance, but I think that's probably sensible enough limit down there. So we've got West Brom on 66 points in 5th place, followed by Norwich on 61, Hull on 58 with a game in hand, Coventry with 57 with a game in hand, Preston with 56 and a game in hand, Middlesbrough 54 and Cardiff 53, probably the 2 kind of outside picks. And I've included the 6 pointers that will be happening in the run-in. So basically, any games featuring the two teams from these 7 on the screen. So some of the really big games coming up are Coventry Cardiff, Cardiff Hull, Hull Middlesbrough, Preston v Norwich, Coventry against Hull, Cardiff against Middlesbrough and West Brom against Preston. So all of these games could have huge implications on who gets those top 2 spots. So similar question to before. Can I get your 2 teams out of those that will make the playoffs, please?
I think for
Norwich
me,
or
yeah, I think West Brom and Norwich looks like the teams that will qualify for the playoffs. But for me, you can never count out Hull City. So yeah, those three out of those three, 2 of them will go. I'm not sure which 2, but at the moment, my edge is towards West Brom and Norwich, because I am Coventry and Hull has an outside chance, but they have been brilliant in some games, but they have been disappointing in some games as well. They're dropping ridiculous points in games that they should be winning. So it never, I can't seem to call them with surety that yeah, Hull will be in the conversation or Coventry will be in the conversation. But so that's why I'm giving the edge towards West Brom and Norwich, because they are the most experienced sides in terms of the championship, and they've done it in the past. So yeah, that's why I'm giving the edge. But yeah, I mean, I have come down to Coventry in terms of playoffs. Even though Preston and Middlesbrough and Cardiff are in the conversation, but I don't think they're in the conversation towards the playoffs, because they have 1 good game, 2 good games, and they have 3 bad games. And that's disappointing. If you are really challenging for the playoff spots, you have to have consistency, and which these 3 teams have been lacking in various parts of the season. So yeah, I'm not having them in the conversation of the playoff picture. I'm counting down to Coventry only in terms of playoff picture. So yeah, that's me.
What do you reckon, David?
Those 5 points off from Norwich and West Brom are a bit big, I guess. Uh, I think it's like less likely that they drop below Norwich, so like they are a bit more certain. And Norwich also are strong, but when you, if Coventry win the game they have in hand, they are like 1 point behind Norwich. So like all those 4 teams realistically with Hull can like play well and still be about the same. Could even call that to goal difference maybe. I don't know. It's quite similar, like plus 15 for Norwich, plus 7 for Hull, so not that good. Plus 16 for Coventry. So yeah, I wouldn't count out Coventry, of course, but and they have a striker that's firing now. I don't know if Hull has that, but the one thing I would like to count against West Brom would be what you said about their defense. They are letting goals in, but yeah, it's of course hard to say, but I would say maybe Coventry could have an outside shot. But yeah.
I've just been fact checking myself on West Brom defence because I saw they only conceded 36 goals. I'm like, was my research actually just a load of rubbish? Because that's a really good record. When it comes to expected goals against, they've got the 5th best defence, so it's still good. Like, it is pretty good, but obviously it's not kind of as good as goal. Like, they have conceded much fewer goals. I think it's the third best defence. Yeah, third best defence in terms of goals against, by quite some distance. But when it comes to expected goals against, they are kind of conceding. Chances, yeah, they're 5th. No, 6th. Sorry, 6th. So they are actually conceding quite a few chances. Like, they're not kind of a top tier defence sort of thing. But yeah, I think I'm in agreement with both the West Brom and Norwich. Also agree that Hull and Coventry, you can't really count them out. And I hope they end up in the mix. But actually, I think this could maybe be decided with a couple of game weeks to go. I'm just looking at the fixtures, and West Brom haven't more than enough of a cushion, and they haven't really got any tough games aside from Leicester away in 44. So I think they're most likely going to do it quite comfortably. And Norwich's fixtures, once they get the Leicester and Ipswich ones out of the way, they've got a really not too bad run to finish the season. I suppose if they lose to Preston in 43, it could become interesting. But they, after that, are playing kind of a couple of relegation threatened teams and a couple of teams on the beach. So I think Norwich have more than enough goals in them. As long as like Sargent stays fit, I think they should be fine. Same with Sarah. I'd love to see Hull and Coventry make it, but I can see. I mean, first of all, like Coventry have got some tougher games. They have to play each other, so they obviously can't both win that game. And I think that they both have to play Leeds, and then Coventry have to play Southampton, and Hull have to play Ipswich. But they obviously do have that game in hand. I think they'll put up a good fight, but I do think they'll ultimately fall short of Norwich, which is a shame because I find them more likeable than Norwich. I think both teams are very likeable. So. Yeah, I want to see one of them make it in, but don't think they will. So yeah, relegation. This is gonna be very interesting, and this should go right down to the wire. For a while,
open.
Yeah, it's so open. Obviously, Rotherham are cut adrift by a long way. Sheffield Wednesday looked like they were gone, but all of a sudden they've put together a really good run of form, and they are right in and amongst it now. So let's go through. I'm going to work from the bottom up actually this time. So we've got Rotherham 20 points. That'll be confirmed as down very, very soon. Sheffield Wednesday 38 points. Huddersfield 39 points. Birmingham 39 points. QPR 40 points. Stoke 41 points. Plymouth 41 points. Blackburn 42 points. Millwall 43 points, and that's where I've cut it off. And in terms of the 6-pointers, there's a lot of games between teams on this graphic, and I've excluded Rotherham from these 6-pointers because they're not 6-pointers when Rotherham are going down. So there's going to be so many games that are going to decide how this goes this season. QPR against Birmingham, Stoke against Huddersfield, Huddersfield against Millwall, QPR against Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth against QPR, Sheffield Wednesday against Stoke, Stoke against Plymouth, Blackburn against Sheffield Wednesday, Millwall against Plymouth, Huddersfield against Birmingham. So a lot of absolutely huge games. And interestingly, none of these happened on the last game of the season, which is a shame. It would have been good to have a 6-pointer then. But they were all playing other teams on the last game of the season, which is quite an unlikely thing. But that seems to be how things have fallen. Good luck at predicting this. But who's going down with Rotherham?
No idea. Who's been playing well lately, apart from Sheffield Wednesday? Because it seems like it goes down to who's doing well now, not across the season.
QPR were looking in lots of trouble as well. I can't remember what the gap was, probably at least 5 points at one point. But they've managed to drag themselves kind of out of the relegation zone when they've been stuck in it a lot of the season. Millwall have picked up a bit under Neil Harris since he's come in. The other teams though, not on good form at all.
And you talked about Plymouth being in a kind of slump as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think when I look at the table, I'm looking back at the season and thinking, oh, those have been there all the time, so they're probably going down because they are in the order they are. But it's just 1 point. And this table doesn't reflect how they're doing right now, which is important. It's not a form table. It would be nice have a win versus lose in the app I'm looking at, but could even though a red card for Thomas impact the chances hugely? Has he been doing well lately, or is it just
Well, it's probably only a 1-game ban though, right? I think if it's 2 yellows, right?
Yeah, but is it a 6-pointer he's missing, or is it just a
Coventry missing Coventry games? It's a tough one anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. I would like to see Sheffield Wednesday go out of the relegation zone because that would be quite incredible.
I'd quite like that to happen as well because I feel like I was in the minority of people to say they would survive. Everyone was putting them as going down, but it'd be quite nice to be vindicated with that prediction. But David, I want 2 teams, please. I'm going to press you now. 2 teams, please.
Right. Okay, Huddersfield and Blackburn. Let's see.
Okay. Interesting. Abhishek, same question to you.
I mean, in terms of fixtures, Sheffield Wednesday has the tougher fixture in terms of all the teams that are sucked into the relegation battle. Uh, Millwall has a decent run, so do Blackburn, so do Plymouth, so do Stoke, so do Huddersfield, so do Birmingham and QPR as well. Is Sheffield Wednesday has the most toughest run in terms of all the 7 teams that we called up to the relegation battle, which is really shame because I would love for Sheffield Wednesday to survive because especially the kind of form they have shown, especially in the last 2 or 3 months after this the new manager took over. They have a new identity about what they were playing, what are they doing. So I really want them to survive, but it doesn't look like they are going to survive because the teams above them have too many fixtures among themselves that they can save themselves ahead before Sheffield Wednesday play certain relegation strugglers because they play one relegation strugglers, then they play a mid-table team who are on form. Will be a tough game. Then they play a relegation struggler. Then they have a tough team to play. But the other relegation teams have each other to play. So I think Sheffield Wednesday will be one of the teams that going to down. The third one that's going to be done. It's really tricky. It comes down to whoever performs the best in the last few fixtures that are left. I'm going to anger Stoke City fans because I don't see them scoring goals enough to have them on the drop zone. But I think it's a toss up between them and Blackburn Rovers because I'm not seeing them scoring, saving themselves because the other teams will be playing because other teams are scoring goals. I mean, you can say that Plymouth can be added to the conversation as well. Plymouth Blackburn, out of these three, Plymouth Blackburn and Stoke, one of them will go down, mm, along with Wednesday and Rotherham. Hopefully, Wednesday proves me wrong and save themselves because I have predicted them to save themselves in my league prediction ahead at the start of the season. But in terms of looking at the fixtures on the teams that they face in the upcoming days, weeks, it's not looking good for Sheffield Wednesday.
So your
Hopefully,
final two are Wednesday and
and going to give the edge to Plymouth because they are not scoring goals. Whittaker, if you isolate Whittaker, nobody's there to score goals for them, and that's going to hurt them a lot. I think
Mhm.
Blackburn and Stoke have enough in the tank to save themselves out of the top, but out Plymouth, Blackburn, and Stoke, these three will go right down on to the wire about who will be one team to go down. But I'm giving slight edge towards Plymouth out of those three teams. The rest of the team, I think, they'll save themselves.
Look, this is such a tough one to call.
Yeah.
I think the team that's got by far and away the worst fixtures is Blackburn. They have got to play Ipswich, Southampton, Leeds, and Leicester, all the top four, and they've got to play Coventry. If they are still in the mix against when they've got to play Coventry and Leicester at the end,
I think, yeah, as I said, Blackburn, Stoke, and Plymouth. It's going to be a toss up between who goes down because the fixtures aren't looking great.
you've said your two. I'm just trying to work out what my two is right now. Because in theory, Blackburn really should be too good to go down. They really should be too good. They're not a team that should be down there at all. But they have that really tough run. I think I'm going to choose Birmingham as one that are going to go down. But they have this is the thing with Birmingham. They're quite difficult to predict because obviously we know they have a capable squad. They sacked Eustace. They eventually brought in Mowbray after the Rooney debacle, but then Mowbray's been ill, and they've only just appointed Gary Rowett on an interim basis before Mowbray comes back next season once he's recovered. And I don't really know how that's going to impact Birmingham, whether
Yep,
Gary
yep,
Rowett
yep,
is going
yep.
to steady the ship and turn them around, or whether they will continue on this downward spiral. So they are a tough one to call. Blackburn are in theory too good to down and have a tough run. I really don't know what to choose here, guys, but I'm gonna have to choose two. I'm going to
I mean, the
say.
only reason before you say, the only reason Birmingham comes into the conversation is because of Gary Rowett, because the fixtures are bad. If Mowbray was there, uh, touchwood, he comes back soon from his illness, by recovering from his illness. He, if he was there, we wouldn't have the conversation of bringing Birmingham to the relegation fight, because they will save themselves, because the fixtures are really, really good for them to be in the conversation of a relegation dogfight. But the reason why Birmingham has been sucked into this relegation conversation is due to the fact that their manager is Gary Rowett, and we have seen Gary Rowett managing Birmingham in the past. So it's. I hope their Birmingham doesn't become boring because after the signings that they have made throughout the season. But
What a disaster it's been for Birmingham. Oh, sacking Eustace is just, oh my word, I can't think of a worse footballing decision.
I mean, they were
So
from a
bad.
playoff contending team. They have now come to the relegation fighting team. In the meantime, they have sacked Eustace. They've had the Rooney debacle. Then they have the shining light of Mowbray, and now they've going back to Gary Rowett.
Sacking
Right?
Eustace
I
is the
mean, they
worst
could have.
footballing decision since Everton appointed Rafa Benitez. Probably not. It's probably been worse.
I mean,
I'm just. Yeah. Okay,
sorry.
I'm going to pick my two.
I
I'm going to
mean,
pick my two. Wednesday are
yeah.
really. I'm really torn on Wednesday because they've got some tough matches, but they've got the three huge ones against QPR, Stoke, and Blackburn, and it really hinges on those games for Wednesday. I'm going to say Birmingham and Blackburn with very little confidence.
Wow.
Very little confidence. Because I'm
That's
still looking at Sheffield
interesting.
United and Sheffield Wednesday and Huddersfield. Like, I'm really not sure about you two, but yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but
say.
If Birmingham and Blackburn do go down, I mean, jeez, that's going to
Bad,
be ridiculous. Yeah,
really bad. But I'm gonna say it.
yeah.
Yeah, very little confidence in that prediction, and it's very momentum and form
I
focused,
just
and
hope
form can change really quickly in this
Sheffield
league. So that.
doesn't say.
Sorry, David. Go on.
Yeah, I just hope for Heskeybo's sake that they stay up, because it was such a heartbreak for them to go down right away. But they are doing so well, so good luck to them and to him. And I hope more people start to say the name right and not just say Sheffield, because that's like, who do you mean?
Yes, that is a big bugbear of teams, fans of both teams, and just people who follow football, to be honest. Yeah. Okay, those are our predictions. Oh, I'm really not feeling confident about my prediction there at all. They are too good to go down, but it's all about their momentum. But let's move on, and let's go on to questions. I don't have a slide for this, but I'm going to bring our faces back up. Which one of you wants to read the questions out? Because I know, David, you're on your phone there. Go on, Abhishek. Do the honours.
Okay, the first question comes from Pemberton Gaffr. And kudos to him for running the Champions League and the Europa League Gaffr tournaments. It has been real fun. Hopefully, he carries on in the next season as well. So, he asks.
On that note, I'm in the semi-finals, but I'm 2-0 down in the best of 5. So
Hopefully, you get to the final and
out the bag.
yeah, you get to the final and put that guys on Gaffr flag on top again. So yeah, the first question is from him. He has two questions. First one is 3 must-own players for the running and 3 differential players. So let's first have 3 must-own players. Joel, What's the three must-run players for you for the running?
Walker Peters. Adam Armstrong, even though I don't own him. I probably won't own him for a few weeks. And Josh Sargent. No, actually, Philogene instead.
Okay, is that your final answer?
Yes.
Are you confident with it?
No.
Okay.
You can't bet
Okay.
against Philogene. He's too good.
Yeah. Okay, David, what are your three must-run players for the running?
Somerville, Armstrong, and Rutter.
Nice. He has to include that Norwegian guy.
He's coming this way.
Okay, and my three top most important players for the running are Adam Armstrong, Kyle Walker Peters, and Philogen Bides. If you don't own these three, then you're doing something wrong. So, yeah, those are three must own from us. Now, three differentials. So, we're going to start with David. Three differentials to own for the running.
Right. Let's say Vardy, Mafididi, and Torp, of course.
Of course.
Who is the other one?
How many people?
He said Torp. He said Torp.
He already has said top. He can't say top again.
No, he said three. He said three. He said three.
Like, I didn't say Torp 2 times. I'm not.
Vardy, Mavrididi, Torp is what he said. Vardy, Mavrididi.
Okay. So, are you saying top is a differential pick or not? You're saying anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
He's
Jules,
the most
what are your
actually
three
thing.
differentials?
Just
Haji Wright count?
just before we move on, I'm looking
Yeah.
at the site and sorting by ownership, and Torp is on 0% ownership for some reason.
I mean,
I'm
that's
like the
perfect.
only guy in the game from.
basically, it's you, David. It's just you.
Yeah.
No one else has it.
I can keep him up.
Yeah, I mean he should be a proper differential player, especially for the
Yeah.
Coventry running games that are coming up. So, yeah, Joel.
I don't
Who
think
are your
Haji
three?
Wright counts because he's a differential now, but he won't be by the time the double comes around. But I'm going to say him anyway. Haji Wright.
I mean he can't.
Which is their midfielder that's really good? Not O'Hare, the other one, and not Torp either. Is it like it's either Eccles or Sheaf, and I can't remember which one of them has the good attacking numbers. I'll say whichever one of Eccles and Sheaf who's actually got good attacking numbers and that people have highly rated. Clearly, I've basically forgotten which one of them's like the one that's a real talent. And a third one. Let's go with David Brooks.
That's a really good, decent one. My three differentials for the running are David Brooks and Haji Wright as well, because he seems to be really on the form right now, scoring winners, late winners, really late winners. I mean, he's scoring goals in 100+ minutes in extra time out of extra time in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, I think, Saturday night. So Haji Wright, David Brooks, and the one that I have picked for the night three, the other differential is Cavallo. Well, Cavallo, he looks I'm wondering what his ownership is. He's not that too many owned, I guess.
No, I imagine people will buy him back, but he counts. If Haji Wright counts, then he counts too. I nearly said him as my third, and then I thought of Brooks. I was like,
Yeah, so my three differentials are Brooks, Haji Wright, and Fabio Cavallo.
Nice.
Now, let's move on to the next question. Next question is from...
Yeah. I just looked at the ratings for Eccles and Ben Sheaf the last 10 game weeks, and it's definitely Ben Sheaf that's doing better at the moment, it looks like.
Okay. Thanks.
There you go. According to FootMob. You can check your stats yourself, but like that's Still
Yeah.
running between the two for transfers.
Thank you.
Okay. Now moving on to the question. Next question comes from Glasto. He says, "Who are you targeting for the upcoming fixtures?" I guess we've discussed this in whole lot in this week's episode. So
We could talk about like which teams we are targeting against, like which teams should we get players against, like from.
yeah, I mean he's asking for teams because he's just saying who are you targeting for the upcoming fixture. So we can say the names of the teams that we're gonna target for players to come into our squad. So
Yeah, could do that.
uh,
I guess aside from the doublers, it's kind of like who else are we looking at? I guess because I mean doublers are really obvious.
yeah, those are the teams that have the doubles. Are the target players as of now, and what we have discussed about throughout the show today. So you're gonna get last show. You're gonna get a lot of player names. So hopefully,
Yeah.
I think you own most of them, but hopefully you can have some of them as well. And I think the last question for this week comes from the Bombardier. Excellent detail in these pods, guys. Thank you very much. Hopefully, we continue to do that. And when's the best week to play triple triple and performance enhancement? So he has 2 boosts left. He will play triple triple and performance enhancement. So what are the best weeks to play triple triple and performance enhancement? Joel, you go first.
We've discussed triple. There's pros and cons for each. Take your pick, really. Performance, I think triple should be prioritized. So I wouldn't worry about the best week for performance enhancement. If they're the same week, play triple that week. For performance enhancement, I think it's either 44 or 45, just because of volume of doublers. I like both. 44, like with your Leicester double, you can get Dewsbury Hall. With your Southampton double, you can get Armstrong, Walker Peters. With your Hull double, you can get Philogene and maybe Giles, and then maybe a third, and they're all pretty good for bonus. I don't know how Carvalho is for bonus at the moment. He might be quite good for bonus, I suspect, but I need to check the numbers on that. But Giles and Philogene should be safe bets, so I think that's probably a good week, the best week. But then there is also 45. Like if Moore scores any goals, then hopefully he gets some bonus there. Obviously, Leif Davis is great for bonus, and then Coventry have players who could do well for bonus as well, in terms of like O'Hare, if Wright gets any attacking returns as well. So I think I'd choose 44 of the two, but 45 is not bad either.
David, go on.
Yeah, I would just play it in the one that you're not playing triple actually.
Yeah.
But could I comment in addition to the question before this, just before we move on? Because we're like talking about the players that most people will likely have. We also talked about like the relegation trap, and like are there some players from those teams that like have to perform that you will get? Like we have seen Chair and those guys like doing a bit better now. Sunderland have a nice run, but they are not in the relegation zone. Are there some players there that can be like differentials? Because we also always talk about the doublers and like the teams that are going to win games, but are there some like under the radar Wednesday players, for example? And I don't know, is Bannon back maybe?
An interesting shout, actually. Yeah, that David. That's a good point. Chair's an interesting one. He's got a couple of returns recently. Obviously, he's got that weird conviction, like he's been charged with assaulting someone in Belgium, but for some, I don't really understand the details, but some sort of thing in the legal system means he's not, he's able to still play. Ugbo, EK Ugbo's a bit of a differential shout. He's on great form for Sheffield Wednesday. There's 4 spots available, but like I don't know what he must have scored something along the lines of 7 or 8 goals in the last 6 games or something. Let me get the actual numbers up for you, but Ugbo's a shout. Are there any others from the relegation teams? I mean, Sorba Thomas was one of those, but you know how that turned out.
But like we have to remember that before the doubles, there are like 4 game weeks still with good fixtures, so we can just focus on those as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Ugbo has in the last. To be fair, he's not scored in his last 3, but before that, he did score 6 goals in 5 games.
So, what are the weeks did you mention? Triple, triple, David?
Yeah, I'm just in agreement with you two, but I think it's very team dependent. But you can't. I don't think you can go too much wrong with the triple triple. You get on good players all the weeks, but it's just up to how the league is going. So you have like closer to how it's actually going when you decide. I don't think I can give a good answer right now, but those weeks you have mentioned earlier are probably the most likely to be good, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Okay, and I think for me, as we have discussed throughout the show, triple triple weeks, the best weeks to play. But for me, 43 or 45 can be decent options to play triple triple, but giving slightly edge towards 43 just because of the fixtures and the teams and the players that we currently own has on that week. And for performance enhancement, if you are playing triple triple on 43, 45 can be a decent option for performance enhancement because of the fixtures. Ipswich has a nice double, Coventry has a nice double, other teams also has easier single game week fixtures. So that's me. I think performance. If you are playing performance enhancement, then 45 can be a decent option. If you are not using triple triple and 45, and for triple triple 2 weeks, as we discussed throughout the show, 43 or 45. So yeah, I think that wraps up the questions for this week.
Cool. In that case, let's go on to our teams then. And the order's slightly different to earlier for some reason. But anyway, David, your team is up first. So what are your early thoughts for the coming game week? Connection issues. I think we've lost David. Oh. Okay, Abhishek, you're up. Oh no, that's me. Apparently I'm up next. Okay, I'll talk through mine while David sorts his connection issues. I haven't really thought about it, not going to lie, but I look at my team now and I think it's probably rollable. I mean, I have a fairly weak bench with Thomas suspended, Vandenberg playing Southampton, and he did have a knock. I don't know if he's going to be back or not. But Clark Salter isn't actually bad against Birmingham, so I think... But yeah, I don't really see any transfers out needed at the moment, so I think a roll of the transfer is on the cards. To be honest, I'm not really sure what I'll prioritise. Schmodix will probably be sold fairly early in terms of bringing in doublers. Vandenberg will go. And like the Leeds guys will kind of be sold later down the line. I'm going to remove our faces because David leaving has wrecked that. Yeah, so yeah, you can clearly tell I've not thought about it very hard because of the way I am delivering this in a very stuttery and not very coherent manner. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy enough with the shape my team's in. It does look good. Captaincy, I'll probably put the captaincy on Sargent, to be honest. Against Plymouth, that could be really good. Vice captaincy, maybe, probably Somerville, but with an outside chance of Philogene or Dewsbury Hall. Or Kiefer Moore, actually, away to Blackburn. So vice captaincy could go anywhere, really. But yeah, that's me. Abhishek, we'll come to you.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay. So yeah, I think if you guys can see my team, a classic 4-4-2 situation this week. Dean in goal, Furlong, Giles, Walker Peters, Davies on my back four, Johnson, Somerville, Philogene, and Sarah my mid four, and Rutter and Surgeon up top. I have benched Moore and Smodix for the sole reason they are going to go out. I'm going to be transferring them out just purely because I will be targeting those double game week players and Coventry players or the other and Adam Armstrong as well for this, because I need Adam Armstrong back, especially for the fixtures. In terms of, so I think that will be me ahead of Game Week 40.
Can I just say, get Kiefer Moore off that bench, mate. Get Kiefer Moore off that bench. That could backfire big time.
No, I'm just keeping him on the bench because he's going out, so he will not stay in my team.
Oh, really?
That's why he's on the bench.
That's bold.
Yeah. Because I need Adam Armstrong back.
Yeah.
I'm not selling Sargent. I'm not selling Rutter. I need Armstrong back for the fixtures.
Okay. I see your point.
The reason why Kiefer Moore is on the bench, because he's going out. That's why he's on the bench.
I see.
Not because I'm going Game Week 39 with Kiefer Moore on the bench. No.
Okay. Presumably you'll... Sorry, I must have missed that if you said that.
So, yeah, and in terms of captaincy, I mean, it's on Somerville, but it will be on Sargent, because Norwich is playing Plymouth, and vice captaincy will be on Sargent. That's it, I think.
You just said captaincy on Sargent and vice captaincy on Sargent. Presumably you meant Sarah, right?
No, vice captaincy on Somerville.
Oh.
I mentioned Somerville.
Sorry.
So, to be fair, to be clear again, my captaincy will be on Sargent and my vice captaincy will be on Somerville. As you guys can see now, it's on the captaincy on Somerville, but vice captaincy on Sargent. It will be the other way around.
One more time.
This section has gone so smoothly. I spoke so coherently about my team, obviously. David was here from the start and gave a great description of his team. And then I totally didn't mishear Abhishek at all with anything that he said for his team. So I'm doing a great job, guys, on this section, I feel like. No. Let's go back to David then. David has returned.
Yeah.
What are your plans?
Continue.
I don't know. I think I'm just going to leave Thomas on the bench and just because he's cheap, so I can use the money elsewhere and not just worry about benching the wrong guy. That's a positive with the red card, actually. So could be worse. But I think I'm going to sell Life or whatever his name is correctly. I think I might take a punt on Ugbo, actually, because it's fun, and I don't want to get Armstrong right away. But I feel like I'm missing Sargent. I don't know how to get him. I have some money in the bank, so I may do that as well. But I just feel a bit of a loyalty for Whittaker for some reason. I think that's a bit of much my feeling speaking for this. Not facts.
If you've got enough money in the bank to get him, I'll probably make the move. But
I have how much is he? I have 3.6.
8 something.
Okay, might do that then. Captaincy is on Rutter at the moment. Vice on Sarah. I think it will stay that way. I don't like seeing this Hall in my team because I feel it's so boring, and I just want to go up places, but he's just too good. So
it's a problem.
I could maybe sell him, but I probably shouldn't. I've done that many times this season, and it's never worked. So my defense, I don't know. I'm a bit salty that I bought Laird instead of Ailing, but again, that was like a vibe pick, I guess. But Furlong, Giles, Davis, I think that's a good defense. And Torp is starting, of course. But Torp is the name. I'm Norwegian. I think that's it.
Amazing. That brings us to the end of the episode then. Any final words from either of you before we wrap this thing up?
Not final words, but probably we'll share the Thursday Night Wars, how we are doing in the Thursday Night Wars, probably in the next episode.
I should also do a recap on the mini league maybe and talk about what's happening with that.
Yeah, we should do that. But
on the next episode.
This has been a long one. Hour and a half.
Yes.
It's a long one, and
it's also been a long time since last time, so it makes sense.
Yeah. So on the next episode, I'm going to make sure I go get those informations on my notes so that I can give them to the guys. And if you are following the guys on Gaffr podcast Twitter page, then the updates are there as well. But for our loyal listeners, I will share them on our next championship episode. For what is happening in our mini leagues, which positions are our heavyweights sitting at, and what is happening in the Thursday night wars. So I will share them on the next episode. So yeah, do tune in.
Good stuff. Great. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Hope you found it useful, and I hope you found the chat about the run-in interesting. If you fancy putting a comment on the episode tweet, let us know your predictions for the top 2 playoff race and relegation zone. I'd be very interested to see what other people think. It's promising to be a very exciting run-in, and all the best in Gaffr. I hope you can kind of reach the ranks that you are hoping for as we kind of wrap up this another fantasy season already in a couple of months' time. So yeah, take care everyone, and we shall see you again soon. So yeah, it's goodbye from me.
Bra.
Namaste from me.